Thanks for joining us on the NRT Now podcast, part of the largest Christian music site online, newreleasetoday.com. Sit back and relax as we chat with your favorite artists, introduce you to new artists, and more. Now here's your host, Jake.
We're here with Adam Agee, and if you're old school like I am, you've probably heard of him from the Stellar Kart days. Now he is on the road a lot with Newsboys. Man, Adam, it is just good to have you here.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
I gotta tell you, the Stellar Kart group was a huge part of my wife and I's marriage, like our early days. That was kind of my jam. The pop punk scene was just amazing around that. I remember you had the PRS Mira when they first came out about that time, and
oh yeah,
I just gotten my first big boy guitar and got my Mira. I was like, hey, that's what they use. You know, if Cody ever leaves, then I'm gonna be like right there, ready to audition. You know.
Dude, absolutely. PRS was so good to us. Maybe it's because Cody could play so well. He was an amazing guitar player. But yeah, they hooked us up with, I was playing the Miras, he was playing a McCarty, and man, it sounded so good.
Man, they were great. The thing that I really loved about just going to a Stellar Kart show was just how much fun you guys had. It seemed like every time we saw you guys, you were just having the time of your life.
Oh, we were. We tried to be as loud as we could and just have a great time. I mean, we grew up going to shows, and the ones that we remembered were just fun, and we just wanted to put on a great show and have a great time.
So part of the whole Stellar Kart story is the Disney covers. I remember, oh man, what was the first one? I don't remember the first one that we heard you do, but you guys did A Whole New World. I think you guys were on tour with Cutlass.
We probably toured with them like 6 or 8 times. I don't know. It was a bunch.
One of the Cutlass tours, I mean, take your pick. And you guys, that was a Disney cover that you guys were doing. And Brian decided that he wanted to take Jasmine's part on that one. And just that kind of fun stuff that happened. I mean, I'm pretty sure he had to hike up his shorts a little bit to get that high note, but.
No doubt. We were actually just trying to figure out, okay, we're coming into summer festival season. I don't remember what year it was, but we were like, let's come up with something fun, just that's random and crazy and just something memorable for summer festivals. And so we're like, oh, why don't we do a whole new world and do a Disney cover? And we did. We had no idea if people would like it or what. And then it just went over like crazy. People loved it and they were freaking out and they're like, you guys should record it. I'm like, okay, why don't we do that? And then we wound up recording 4 other songs and it turned into a thing. And now if you look at like our Spotify, it's the most listened to stuff on our Spotify.
Well, there's a point in time where you could do ringtones on your cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think anybody anymore, everybody's phones are on silent. I've not heard a cell phone ring in years.
No. Unless it's just the old school phone ring. That's it.
Yep. I think it was The Lion King was my ringtone for the longest time. The Lion King remake.
That's awesome.
But yeah, we were like hardcore, like Stellar Kart groupies. It was a whole thing. Like,
oh, man.
I might have cried when Stellar Kart broke up.
Oh, hey, it's hard to keep a band together. It's hard to make enough money once everybody starts getting married and having kids and all that kind of stuff. It's hard.
Well, it's just the different seasons, because I think Cody was the first one to go, if I remember right.
Yeah.
Somehow, some way, like life changes. You, like you're saying, get married, grow up, have family.
Yeah, you know what? We'd been playing since like 99, and so we had a pretty amazing run for a punk rock group.
So in that whole season, you took a pit stop with Audio A. Now you're kind of on your solo project. Can you talk a little bit about kind of the Adam Agee journey here?
Yeah, once Stellar Kart was kind of winding down, I was trying to figure out what to do and had the opportunity to go sing with Audio Adrenaline for several years and got to be a part of their Hands and Feet project ministry down in Haiti. And that was something I've always been passionate about, missions and encouraging people, challenging people to go get out of their comfort zone, go on missions. I've gone on trips all the time. I lead mission trips down to Mexico, building houses now with the Newsboys. It's just part of who I am, something I love to do. And so joining up with them to sing for the band and to raise money for the Hands and Feet project, I was stoked about it. And so we did that for several years. And then when that touring kind of started winding down, I had the opportunity to kind of make my own music, and I'd had some songs that I'd recorded years before doing the Audio A thing. And so I put those out there, and then now I've been writing new stuff, and on February 4th, releasing my first full-length solo album ever. So I'm excited about that. I'm out on tour with Newsboys starting I think the third or fourth. So right around then, again, I've been touring with the Newsboys for a long time. I love those guys. They've been very good to me. But yeah, that's kind of the update. I also write songs for other people. I wrote a song with my buddy Toby Mack called Promised Land that's on the radio right now. Probably my favorite song that I've ever written. I actually had it written and I played it for him. I didn't know what to do with it. It was just a song that I wrote during COVID. And he's like, man, I want to take a look at this and see if I can figure something out. And he did and I had written the part, where's my promised land? And then he came up with the thing of like, hey, what if the promised land is not a place at all? What if it's a person? And what if it's Jesus? And I was like, that's beautiful. I love it. And so he flipped it around to You're My Promised Land, and it totally made the song what it is. And so I love that I got to collab with one of my golfing buddies for many years, and I'm glad the song's doing well. But that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Promised Land just got covered with Sheryl Crow too. So did you think when you started that you'd be working with Sheryl Crow or around Sheryl Crow or however that whole process worked?
No, like she's just like pretty much everybody. I grew up listening to Sheryl Crow, right? So to have her, first of all, be so excited and loves the song, and then to be able to sing on it with Toby and what they did was beautiful, and it's just an amazing collaboration. It's crazy. It's crazy to think that, a song I helped write, it's being sung by somebody I grew up listening to.
I want to take a brief detour here. We were talking about the Hands and Feet project, and I got to bring up a painful subject. The Fantasy Football League. Oh, mercy.
Oh boy.
That was a rough one this year.
Man. Okay. So a little background. If people don't know what's going on, I don't know how many years we've been doing it, but we've been doing a fantasy football league to raise money for Hands and Feet. So you pay your entry fee and all the money goes to help support the ministry. And I won it the first year because I'm really good at fantasy football. Right.
Of course.
And then I think I've finished either dead last or like next to last every season since. So I think my pride got the best of me, but it's super fun, even when we're losing, even when things are going poorly, like the way my Cardinals ended their season historically bad. There's fantasy football that can, help us stay together.
So I'm going to be honest, this year, I don't think I ever logged in to my team just because it also probably. Well, no, I was in Dave's league. So Dave Fry was Sidewalk Prophet. There was just no overlap there. So I was hoping for that easy win, but it just never came.
Well, yeah, at least he didn't win. It's all that matters that Dave didn't win. He's the biggest trash talkers in the universe.
He tried to get out of his side bet with Mark Stewart last year.
Yeah.
It was like Titans gear. He had to wear Titans gear or something like that. He tried to find the loophole, but I had to just get a little creative with Photoshop, make sure that Dave wore some Titans gear, stole some pictures from Instagram. Just
nice.
We got him tightened up there.
Yeah, it's good for him.
Consequently, I don't think I've talked to him since.
Yeah, maybe you're on the list or something now. I don't know.
Probably am. I have no idea how I did this year. Like when that started in August, whenever the NFL season starts, like we had a whole wave of stuff hit us. And by the time I actually was even able to log in, I was like, I'm done. I'm so far gone. Like it's Jesus, take the wheel.
At least you can know that like there are people out there trying really hard that did not do any better than you did.
Yeah.
And commit a lot of time.
And Mark Rockwell, who runs the league, who's the main organizer, I don't think I've admitted this to him yet. I'm sure by the time he hears this, he'll know, and I won't be allowed back. But it was an interesting NFL season this year, and interesting with the fantasy football. But it has been fun to sit in the group and watch what's going on and see the kind of trash talk back and forth between everybody. And
yeah,
they did introduce the flex points this year, which was an interesting turn. So if you made an extra donation to the Hands and Feet, you got a 10-point boost or something like that.
It's all about the money, man. It's all about the money. Raising money for the kids. Yeah, we'll give you a win. It's just going to cost you.
Yeah. Which I'm sure that there's other analogies that we could put there, but I'm sure that there's a little bit of that happening in the NFL anyway, but that's just conspiracy theory.
Yeah, that's for another podcast.
I want to talk a little bit about something that we actually, an experience that we shared, our first real DC Talk concert.
Oh.
Because I think you and I shared that. Our first real DC Talk concert was on a boat.
Oh, yeah.
At least that's what you told me.
Yeah. I mean, that's the first time I'd gotten to really see him live on the cruise.
It's crazy that we grew up with that. I'm sure in Phoenix they rolled through, but I mean, when we were growing up, like just the awareness of concerts and just all that going on, like I never really thought about that when I was growing up. Like if my parents happened to take me, sweet, but it wasn't like, oh, I've got to hit this show or I got to go to this concert or I've got to see, DC Talk or anything like that. It's crazy how our perspectives change as we've gotten older.
Yeah. Well, and with the way that information travels now, you can kind of know everything about everything by just clicking on the website. So it's easy access for sure. But it was a weird time for a little while there with YouTube when it first kind of came out and people would just watch concerts on YouTube and stop going to shows for a little while. And then they realized, well, okay, maybe that's not as fun as actually going to shows. And so then they started coming back to shows. And then, of course, COVID keeping a lot of people in their houses now. But hopefully that'll all get settled soon.
Yeah, I'm hoping just the fun of it because I hit the Newsboys tour, this last one at the show end, and the thing that I don't think a lot of people know is like that end tour date, the last day of the tour is just no holds barred. Like that's the fun show.
Oh yeah, it's a free for all. You never know what's going to happen.
In that one with the Newsboys in your set, I can't remember what song it was, but we had of course we're in Texas. Everything's bigger in Texas. We love our state, all the stuff. But there was one of the guys that came through with a huge Texas flag waving it. What song was that?
On Move. That was one of the Audio A songs that I wrote that I still play in my set. And it was just epic. We got a great video of it too on my Instagram. It looks just unbelievable with the Texas flag and the people going crazy. It was awesome. I had like 6 of the Newsboys crew guys on stage as my band, and then it was so great.
And you just don't get that from a YouTube. I mean, you can kind of get that from a YouTube, maybe better, closer views, but just the experience isn't there just by watching it on YouTube versus, actually going to a show.
Oh yeah, totally.
There's just some shows that you just can't do online. Like you can't really truly experience, well, just say for King Country. I mean, that's just a show that doesn't translate to YouTube.
No. And I think a lot of people found that out at the beginning of COVID too, with everybody trying to do Zoom concerts and all that kind of stuff. And then everybody got so tired of Zoom and they're like, I just want to go to a real show. And we were the same way. We're just like, man, you don't get that same energy unless you're in the room with people, and I'm just hoping it all comes back super quick and great and awesome.
We saw some creativity happen there, but it was kind of that short-lived. Us here at NRT, we're like, how do we keep on top of this? How do we keep track of virtual concerts? How do we let people know what's going on? I mean, you had some of the creativity, like Cochran and company did a tour of my house.
Yeah.
Well, I can't remember what he called it, but he was just doing a mini concert in each room in his house. Like
yeah, I think I remember.
Tour. Then it just kind of, like you're saying, it just kind of got pretty old pretty quick. It was a good thing to start with, and we thought we're just in for a couple months, and then a few months in, everybody's still getting squirrely, and that was a super tough thing to do.
Yeah, trying to figure out how to go from, I mean, we play 100 shows a year. And so to go from doing that to I was off for longer than I'd been off since I was in college, basically. Yeah, it was almost 20 years of being on the road where this is my first time at home for 3 weeks in a row. It was crazy. And it just kept going.
Got a little bit longer of a break and a little bit longer of a break. And
yeah. But it's good. I mean, we're doing our last makeup show tomorrow, and then the tour with Danny Goki and Mac Powell and Newsboys starts on the 4th or 5th of February. I'm not sure, but we're going to do a bunch of dates. We're going to go all the way through May. I don't know if they've been announced. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that yet, but we're going to go all the way through May. Probably going to get in trouble, but that's okay. I'm so stoked to be out there with those guys. And I got one of my songs, He Is With You, is going to be released to radio along with being released on Spotify and everything. The whole album is going to be out on all the platforms, everywhere you can get music. But I'll have an actual radio single going out, which will be really cool. So I'm excited about all that.
It's just been fun to watch what you've done in the middle. Like I've seen you on Winter Jams in the last few years, and it's not very often that an artist that, at least that I've noticed, that gets to really reinvent himself. Mac Powell really has been able to, Toby Mac, of course, but once you kind of come out of a group like Stellar Kart that's been around for a long time, there's not a whole lot of artists that I've seen really come out and re-blossom like that.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's my ignorance, but
No, I think historically it's very rare that you come out of a group that had any kind of success and then, one guy comes out and does his own thing you can count them maybe on one hand, like guys like Sting, who are just, amazing. But you think about the Police and you think about he's done, well for himself, and, a handful of other guys, but it's crazy. Beyonce did all right too.
Who's Beyonce? Okay.
Part of this group, Destiny's Child, you probably heard of them.
It sounds vaguely familiar, and we might be aging ourselves just a little bit.
Oh, for sure.
But no, it's been super awesome to be able to see you grow and just what you've done since the Stellar Kart days. And once I wipe the tears away and have followed you a little bit. Maybe I'm just being a little dramatic about it, but
That's hilarious. No, man, I'm just excited to be able to continue to do what I do. I love music. I love getting to be a part of whatever ministry that the tour is a part of. Right now, we're working with Child Fund. I've worked with multiple organizations, taking care of those in need. I love being a part of that. To get to do that, I'll do it as long as God wants me to do it, and as long as I'm able. I love that the music supports that ministry. I love that the ministry allows me to do music. It's just, it's all great. And I'm just thankful and grateful to be able to do it. I love meeting people all over the world and playing shows. And sometimes it's the music that influences them. Sometimes it's getting out of their comfort zone and stretching themselves and taking care of somebody that they don't even know with what little we have left over in our lives. And so it's cool to give people a chance to act out what they believe, to live out the lyrics of these songs that we sing. And I love getting to do it.
So I want to touch just a little bit on the mission side. The last show that I was talking about, or that we're talking about just a minute ago, you talked about your experience going through, I don't remember what it was when you were talking about the Child Fund sponsorship on that one. It's been a couple months since we've done that, but you were talking about just being able to go through and just seeing the poverty and just seeing these conditions and all that kind of stuff. Just want to touch a little bit on where that started and just kind of your heart for the mission and working with these organizations.
Yeah, early on when I was in college, I went on several mission trips. I actually played basketball, and so we would take our team over to different places in Europe and in Asia, and we would play against whatever their national team was, and we'd gather all the kids into these big playgrounds, outdoor playgrounds, and we would play games and do drills, and then we'd tell them about Jesus. And so that was kind of something that was instilled in me at an early age. And then we've been partnering with anybody that will partner with us to make the shows matter, to make them count, to make it about more than just playing music, because I think we would have quit a long time ago if it was just playing music. That's not enough to keep me out on the road away from my family. And so I think the mission stuff, getting to go, especially with the Hands and Feet project, that was my first time to Haiti, and to see that level of poverty and just the infrastructure in that is so tough on the people. It really made what I'm trying to do out here on the road very real, and gave the purpose a lot of meaning. And so I continue to go on trips as much as I can. I go at least every year. And obviously the last couple of years have been weird, but we try to go at least once or twice a year, visit a different community that we've worked in or want to work in, to check up on stuff or to see where the new needs are, just to be able to vet all that process, to make sure that what I'm saying from stage is legit, and that anybody who wants to join with us knows exactly what they're getting into, because I've been there, because I've seen it, and we're a partner with them. It's not just trying to throw money or a Band-Aid on a problem. It's really trying to partner with the people locally and change what's going on in these countries and in these places to where they can become self-sustaining. They can get over this hump that they're in, or this hole that they're in. They can dig out of it. So yeah, man, that's what I'm all about. I've been about it for a long time. I'll just use whatever platform I've got to do it.
And I want to kind of wrap up this episode a little bit of a fun way. We talked about this just a shade when we did the Hands and Feet, or the fantasy football. Man, that's 2 years ago now that we've done that. No, that was only a year ago. But yeah, we did that last year. The last time that I was actually able to sit and hang out with you and all that was a little awkward. You were sitting with the Manic Drive guys on a boat. Our last night, it was 2019 on the second Jesus Freak cruise, and it was 80s night on the boat. Somehow, some way, I got the wild hair. You were just trying to enjoy a good basketball game. The Raptors were going to win the finals. Life was going to be good. Yeah. And my kid decided that I needed to, for 80s night, dress up as the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Awkward times were had.
I think it's great. I think it's amazing. I was underdressed for 80s night, unfortunately.
You're properly dressed for the Raptors game because that's what was important. Remember, it was funny because you were, like I said, you're hanging out with the Manic Drive guys who are from Toronto, and they've been buddies of mine for a little while. So we had to go give them grief. I go up to Michael, and he's like, "Hey, why is this weird guy hanging next to me? Like, how's it going, buddy?" Like,
no, man, it's all good. That's so funny. Yeah. Memories, right?
Exactly. When he realized it was me, it was just like, whatever. And their dad is so cool. Sean was like, "Hey, Dad, look at that," and he's like, "Kids these days." He kind of has that look of like, "Oh, kids these days." And then he sees who it was me, and he's like, "Yep, kids these days." Like,
so great.
Well, we're excited to see you back out on the road. This album, so excited for this album, Adam. And the Newsboys tour is coming, this February. It's going to be awesome with Mac and Danny. I mean, it was awesome with the rest of the crowd with We Are Messengers and stuff, but
yeah,
I mean, just so fun to see these different combinations with the tours, and excited to see you out there and just full on full bore. Rooms full of people singing their lungs out, and not on YouTube.
Oh man, I love it. I'm stoked to be back out on the road with Danny. I've toured with him a couple times and love him and his band. They're awesome. And then Mac, I've done a bunch of shows with him over the years, and obviously grew up listening to Third Day a lot. It's awesome.
Can't wait to see you out there, man.
All right, buddy. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for hanging out with us for this episode of the NRT Now podcast. Be sure to subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And special thanks to Neon Feather for providing our theme music. Make sure to check out newreleasetoday.com and our socials for more great content. See you next episode.